Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be dialing in from around the world. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Caroline Chapin, Channel Marketing Manager at Autotask, and I will be your host for today's webinar titled Cloud Enable File Servers and Simplify Mobile Access with our new product, Autotask Workplace Server. I'm very excited to introduce our very own Len DiCostanzo, our Senior Vice President of Channel Development, who I know many of you know. He comes with a wealth of industry and business knowledge, experience, and always delivers valuable content. So with that, I'll hand it off to you, Len.
Sure. Hey, thanks a lot, Caroline. Hopefully I'm coming through loud and clear.
You sure are.
Excellent. And I've been to 9 community lives, and every year I go, it gets better and better. So definitely look forward to seeing our customers and special invited guests over there. So again, I'm Len DiCostanzo, Senior Vice President of Channel Development, and I've been focused a lot on Autotask Workplace over the last couple of years, and we introduced Autotask Workplace Server. Actually, just yesterday we released it. So we're going to talk today about how you can cloud enable file servers and then simplify mobile access as well as collaboration with Autotask Workplace Server. So let's get started. We have a lot to cover today, and I just want to make sure you know where we're going and what we're going to cover. And first we'll start by reviewing what is file sync and share and the market opportunity around file sync and share. We'll touch on pain points that you and your client are typically experiencing with current collaboration mobile access solutions. And then we'll talk about how Workplace Server eliminates the pain, and in fact, not just Workplace Server, but the entire Autotask Workplace solution set. And then I'll share some next steps with you so you know how to get involved with Workplace Server and start deploying it for your clients. And then I'll hand over to Evan Welch. He will do a nice demo on Workplace Server and how all the pieces work together. And then Caroline will come back and wrap up. We'll go through a little Q&A. So first, what is file sync and share? Just want to make sure that we are all aware what FSS or file sync and share is, because it is really the basis behind Workplace Server and the Autotask Workplace product set. Folders and files stored on your desktop, laptop, or mobile device or the server are synced with the cloud. Essentially, your local hard drive really is very difficult for you to share and work with files and then collaborate with others and access from other devices. But with file sync and share, those folders and files synced to the cloud are accessible from any of the devices you use with or without an internet connection. And then users can share those folders and files via links internally and externally with granular security and collaboration rules. So users can share those folders and files via links internally and externally with granular security and collaboration rules. And new files and file edits are automatically synced bidirectionally between the cloud and your selected or all your devices. Not only that, but file sync and share can also be looked at as a backup solution for data loss prevention and recovery. So the FSS opportunity is on fire, growing at a huge clip, and through 2020 we expect $3.5 billion in sales, and that's per markets and markets. And here we see that 2 times the amount of corporate data on endpoint devices is doubling every 18 months. That's probably the reason the FSS market is on fire, because everybody's putting data on their local hard drives. And that's where typical file sync and share solutions have made their living, right on someone's laptop or desktop, and folks are putting data in the cloud. And that goes against the typical IT service provider and MSP collaboration strategy, which is to save files on the server. So what you really have is this swirl of change going on, where you want data on a server, users are putting data on desktops, laptops, local hard drives, and you really need to protect that data, because your clients do say that security is their #1 priority, and that came from our Autotask Metrics That Matter survey, which over 1,600 of you have responded to. So really important to have security, but in an increasingly mobile and global business world where the mobile workforce is set to increase to 42% by 2020, And that's, of course, evidenced by me working from home with the lawnmower guy going. But the bottom line is, in this mobile and global world, file sync and share is a free-for-all. And really, what do I mean by that? The bottom line here is folks need to get their work done. So as they're putting data on their local drive, they're looking to file sync and share as a solution. But what you have are 46% of businesses experiencing a data leak due to a consumer-grade file sync and share solution. And more importantly, 40% of those businesses will experience exposure of confidential data due to do-it-yourself public cloud deployments. So basically, employees want to get their work done. They have data on their local drive. They want to save it, share it, and they're downloading on their own some public cloud solution to get their job done. And really, it's not just the casual user. It's not just the regular user, the power user. 87% of senior managers have compromised data security with personal cloud accounts. So again, it's not just a regular worker who's trying to get things done and doing what they have to do, but senior managers who should know a little bit better are opening up their own personal cloud accounts. And we really can't speak about file sync and share without talking about ransomware. And we know there have been a slew of attacks this week around the world. And here you see the FBI has reported that since January 1st, 2016, more than 4,000 ransomware attacks have occurred on a daily basis on average, which is a 300% increase from 2015 when 1,000 attacks occurred daily. And you can hit the Entrepreneur site to check that article out. So really, one breach can be devastating to your client's business, to your own business. You're not just losing data. You're not just being asked to pay money, so you may lose money. You're really talking about losing your reputation as a service provider, as a managed service provider, as a trusted advisor to your client base. So not only is the market driving the need for file sync and share, but perhaps you are also setting yourself up to get your fair share of this file sync and share market, because you might still be deploying frustrating VPN solutions for your clients. We've had several workplace partners go through their Autotask PSA or through their ticket log in whatever system they're using, and they've been able to pick out that VPN questions and issues really drive a lot of pain for their users. So are you still out there deploying VPN solutions for your clients? I myself have stopped using my VPN because it typically is slow, a little bit cumbersome, and it doesn't always work as I'm moving around through airports and hotels. Are you currently selling expensive hardware and software-heavy remote access solutions? Now, of course, we know you may have applications sitting on a server that need remote access, but maybe you're moving those applications to the cloud, and as you do that, you've got these files and folders sitting on your server, and perhaps you're putting in a remote access server in front of it, or you may still have a RAS box in front of it that, again, complicates end-user access to those files. And of course, they're pretty darn expensive, so if you're looking to deploy a new remote access solution, you might have a client or prospect have some sticker shock. And of course, a lot of servers are aging. We know they're very costly to invest in, and there's a lot of work to get them up and running. And of course, Microsoft's been asking you to upgrade servers to the latest and greatest operating system, which of course needs a little bit more horsepower. So if your client's servers are aging, you might be afraid of those servers failing, and then you have to go and restore data to provide access to your users to the data or those critical files that they need to work on every day. And perhaps you already have a file sync and share solution in place, maybe coming from the consumer-grade side where your users have downloaded a consumer-grade solution on their device, and you are simply managing it, or perhaps you've replaced it even with Autotask Workplace. Perhaps you try to put those agents on a server, and they're just not built for servers. And even so, if you are putting a file sync and share solution on your server, does it really allow for seamless collaboration between those mobile and remote users who have benefited greatly from file sync and share technology with those LAN-connected users, there's typically been a disconnect behind the technology that drives file locking, where users remote and on the LAN cannot collaborate on the same files. So the bottom line is you and your clients need a better file sync and share solution. And Autotask Workplace with Workplace Server is the answer. And here you see the Workplace solution set. We've been talking about Autotask Workplace now since 2015 in our acquisition of Sooner, and that works with Windows and Mac. We've also got Workplace Online, where you can just use your web browser-independent access to your files and folders online, and also Workplace Mobile for iOS and Android, and now Workplace Server for Windows to extend the Workplace solution set out to the server. And all of that is easily managed with Autotask Workplace Manager. So all of these pieces work together, and we have a real focus on some key pillars: security, control, and availability. We're very aware of the concerns around data security. We own our own data centers. We are audited, SOC 2 audited. We're HIPAA compliant for U.S. folks. We have geo-redundant data centers, and really just a lot of redundancy built in and approaching 4 nines uptime, and we own our own cloud. We also look at accessibility and usability. I mentioned mobile access through your iOS and Android devices. Effective collaboration. We look to make sure collaboration is easy and simple, and Workplace is built for IT service providers and MSPs. And I mentioned Autotask Workplace Manager, and that's really the power behind Autotask Workplace from a product standpoint. It is purpose-built for business with enterprise-grade granular security, and again, lots of control built in for you, the IT service provider, and certainly intuitive and easy to use with a familiar Windows file and folder interface. And the technology is proven. I mentioned we acquired Sooner in 2015, over 10 years of use of the Autotask Workplace technology, and it's preferred by over 150,000 businesses in 134 countries, where we're managing north of 3 billion files every day, and that file count is growing. So let's kind of dig into it. I posed a few questions about your solutions and what you're offering your clients. We talk about the market. But let's just get down to the basics. I know a lot of you out there like me are technical in nature and probably can really grasp this here. So typically without Workplace Server, you've had to install a VPN solution. Perhaps you built a pretty expensive SharePoint site. Maybe you're loading large files and transferring them, having your users transfer via FTP. Perhaps your users are using email as their mode of collaboration, working off their hard drive, sharing files via email, and we know what that does. Creates multiple copies. You lose version control, and sometimes those emails get kicked back because the files are large. And then you have your expensive RAS or remote access solution, and everyone's looking to get to that network share in either the main office or perhaps out in the branch office. Those remote and mobile users really trying to use any one of those solutions, sometimes multiple, to get to their data. We have talked about how difficult that is, slow, unreliable, and complicated. And in terms of RAS, could be real expensive, not typically user-friendly. And there you have those multiple copies of files with no version control, and pretty much somewhat of a disorganized, hard-to-manage approach. And you, as the service provider, lack the control you need. And when I talk about control, it could be as simple as a remote user leaving the employee of the company, and you have no way to wipe the data off their local hard drive. Pretty simple kind of concept. So without Workplace Server, lots of issues, lots of problems. And here you see Workplace Server with LAN sync. And we're going to talk a little bit about when a file's opened with the AWP desktop agent. So I mentioned the product, the Autotask Workplace solution set. You're going to install a Workplace agent on your mobile Windows devices and Mac devices, and of course Workplace Mobile for your iPad, your iPhone, your Android. And what typically is going to happen is when a file is opened on a user's laptop where they have the workplace agent, it's going to propagate that lock across that file across each of the users who may then want to access it. So whether it's opened at the desktop or perhaps you've got a LAN user that actually will go in, you'll have a web browser-based user who might be using any browser of their choice to access a file in the cloud. Even when they go in through the cloud, and everybody who has that workplace agent, or if they're on the LAN where the server is located, that file lock is going to propagate. So again, whether they do it from a desktop agent or a LAN-connected agent, that lock is going to propagate throughout the workplace environment. And the beauty of that is it extends now to the server. So if you have that LAN-connected user, what's going to happen is if they're on the LAN in the old days without workplace server, that LAN user would open a file on the server, and if you had put that server in the cloud with a non-server enabled file sync and share product, that lock would not propagate. So an end user remotely could go into the cloud version and edit it, update it, and now you have a collision with two files being edited at the same time. But the nice thing is, with a workplace server in place, you now can get a lock on the server, and then that lock will propagate throughout your Autotask Workplace environment. Every laptop user, mobile user, or those who are just using a browser to access a file on the web are going to have that lock show up on their desktop. They'll be told someone has it, and away they go. And again, that removes the collisions and of course enables collaboration and access to the most current version of files that are being worked on. So a lot of benefits that come from putting workplace server in place, and we'll talk just a little bit more about those benefits here. It's designed for the server. It runs as a Windows service. There are increased speed settings as opposed to working out on the desktop. And select administrators can be notified that something may be going on at the server level, or perhaps just the activities that are going on. And it's optimized for scalability in the Windows Server operating system. So again, purpose-built for the server. We talked a lot about, I think, the most important feature, and that's the document locking support, where the file server will allow all document edits to sync with ease. A file will be locked as soon as it's unlocked and saved by the user. That file edit will be propagated to the cloud, and then anyone else who will access that file gets the most current version. And LAN sync for local users. If you have a remote user, a mobile user with a laptop who typically works remote, they're syncing over the internet. If they come into the office and connect to the network, they will sync over the LAN, and that will take up less bandwidth on your internet connection and also improve the speed of synchronization. So a nice feature called LAN sync, and agent communications will simultaneously connect to the service and the workplace server. It's smart enough to know what to do. So again, designed for server, customized alerts for disconnections, errors and warnings redirected to administrators, and a separate AWP server management for admins with customizable permissions for projects. And of course, optimized for scalability. And then you got better file locking with LAN sync, where network shares in the AWP cloud are going to be synced with file edits and new files that are added into projects or folders, the integration of application file locks across the different environments, and the faster sync with other users within the office. So a nice little summary of the benefits of Workplace Server. And the real difference for those of you that are Autotask PSA customers, we have a really nice tight integration into the unified platform where essentially you can quote Workplace in Autotask, you can win the opportunity, and it will auto-provision those agents, update the Autotask contract, and then ease the billing issues that you have and the reconciliation issues that you may have. Basically, whether you quote and win the opportunity from Autotask PSA, or you provision direct from AWP Manager. That Autotask contract is updated, and away you go. Additionally, if you're an Autotask endpoint management customer, you really have a lot of nice benefits that drive your bottom line, take cost out of your business model, as you can do an unattended mass deployment of workplace desktop agents out to your estate of supported desktops. You have automated monitoring of those desktop agents, automated ticket creation to alert your service desk. So if AEM detects an issue at the agent level, perhaps a disconnect from the cloud, maybe a sync issue, you're going to know about it, and that's pretty unique in the market today. Lots of self-healing remediation, a lot of scripting capability that you can do, as well as customized monitoring policies. And there's a nice configuration item workflow with PSA and AEM as well. Again, as you continue to add agents and add licenses, you're going to see that information flow into PSA and AEM. And a lot of auditing capabilities built into AEM to go out and see if your users are downloading other file sync and share tools, and perhaps showing you the opportunity in your client base. And the nice thing is we say we're built for MSP, and in fact built for IT service provider, but in fact Autotask Workplace is only available through you, an Autotask Workplace partner. We do not sell direct. We definitely are looking to work with partners and help you help your clients. So your client will never see published pricing. They will not be able to buy Autotask Workplace through us, but only through you. So it is time for you to look at Autotask Workplace and Workplace Server and look to add it to your service catalog today and begin to bundle it into your managed service solutions, because there's a great way for you to generate incremental recurring revenue in your business. So get the support you need to maximize this opportunity and join the Autotask Workplace Partner Program. Again, if you already are a partner and you're listening in, I can always reiterate the benefits you get from sitting in on the partner program. Again, 100% channel focused. You do have a dedicated account manager. In addition, we have what's called a partner development manager. If you're willing to work with us and co-sell with us, we will provide you a partner development manager to help you get up and running quickly. They'll be able to go out there and do demos to your end clients for you while you're getting up to speed. You can see firsthand how it's done. And of course, a fixed cost for licenses. It's not a consumption-based model. You do go out and have a fixed cost of $10 per agent and $125 per server agent. And there's tons of live and on-demand training. We do give you no-cost internal use licenses, up to 3 to use in your business. And our partner playbook and toolkit are probably 2 of the best benefits you have with the partner program. And you do get access to AWP Manager when you buy in with a starter pack. Typically 20 users of Autotask Workplace or 2 servers will get you into the partner program. And once you're in, we provide you with next level support. You support your clients. We support you. We do not take direct support calls from end users. We will always redirect them back to you, the partner. So again, buy into the partner program with a 20-user or 2-server starter pack and get yourself ready to go in deploying Autotask Workplace Server into your client base and solving those business challenges. I talked about the toolkit. So right out of the gate, you're going to be able to look real professional, show that you're a solid Autotask Workplace partner. We've got a lot of social messaging, a lot of email content. We have a client-facing PowerPoint or prospect-facing PowerPoint you can use for a webinar or lunch and learns. We'll even provide you marketing development funds. You give us fill out an application, and we will help you deliver content to drive leads from your client and prospect base. We have a lot of content for you, a lot of marketing assets that you can co-brand with your own logo. And again, right out of the gate, begin to drive leads and generate business. And as specifically tied to Workplace Server, we've got a ton of resources. We've updated our partner playbook to talk about it. roadmap briefs and product logos, a one-pager that you can share with your client base, and email templates, as well as client-facing presentations and demonstrations that you'll be able to point your clients to in case they want to see it and you don't want to do it on your own. So if you're an existing Autotask Workplace partner and you want to add Workplace Server to your catalog, contact your account manager and you can get an addendum signed that'll include pricing terms and conditions. And if you're a new partner, then you'll just sign our new partner agreement in totality as opposed to just an addendum. But we just wanted to let you know it's a real simple process to add Workplace Server into your service catalog. And I'd be remiss to not point out that we do have a ransomware sales and marketing toolkit. Autotask Workplace, now Autotask Workplace Server, is the ultimate ransomware recovery tool. And you want to let your clients know it, and you have to know it yourself. Essentially what happens with ransomware is you get hit with that ransomware attack. It'll encrypt all the files on the device, whether, again, your server or your desktop, and you're going to be asked, or your client's going to be asked to pay a ransom. With Autotask Workplace, you can immediately access those unencrypted files in the cloud by just logging into the cloud and taking a look at the previous versions. And when you get that desktop, laptop, server ready to go and fixed up, you can then restore back to the previous version. Because the nice thing about Autotask Workplace is we record 6 months of versions, and when that ransomware attack hits, the most current version is now the encrypted version, and the previous version is actually the working copy of the file. And you can do a mass recovery, a mass restore of previous versions at the folder level. So a real nice way for you to combat ransomware. And if you haven't been able to prevent it, you can certainly recover quickly. And we have a ransomware sales and marketing toolkit for you to use. So with that, we also wrap it around the Autotask Workplace Partner Playbook, and we don't want you to try to figure out how to get started. So we talk about it, we share where you can go get technically enabled, how you make money, how you can enable your sales team, how you can use it internally, some use cases. And if you're an Autotask user, we see a lot of our Autotask users now using Workplace as their document repository, and they just put the link to the file in Autotask as opposed to uploading files. So a great way for you to use your IULs in your business. We talk about how to discover the opportunity in your base and which plays you need to run to actually drive leads. And we share some retention tips, show you how to get the support, and point to all the assets in the toolkit. So some next step options for you. You first have to decide you want to implement a better solution for your clients. Sometimes I know it's hard for you to perhaps replace a solution you put in 1, 2, 3 years ago. But if your clients are having issues with, say, VPN, or you see them using email for collaboration, you have to decide you want to implement a better solution and then join the Autotask Workplace Partner Program so you can add Workplace into your service catalog, build out a new managed service bundle per user, put in Workplace Server, and away you go. So join the partner program by first reaching out to your account manager. If you're an existing AWP partner, let them know you want to jump into Workplace Server, or you can email sales@autotask.com to get started and seize the opportunity to grow MRR with Autotask Workplace, the complete product set, and of course, Workplace Server. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Caroline. And again, apologize for the lawnmower, but it looks like he heard me when I screamed, and he moved on. So back to you, Caroline.
No worries, Len. You got through it. Thanks so much for hanging in there, and thanks for delivering the great content that you always do. This is certainly a good opportunity for IT service providers, for managed service providers to be able to modernize their server approach for their clients. So I'm hoping everyone out there is just as excited as we are. So now I'm going to hand it off to Evan Welch, Product Manager for Autotask Workplace, who's going to take us through a nice demonstration of Workplace Server. So Evan, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Len. Welcome, everyone, and give you a quick understanding of Autotask Workplace Server in action. So what we're looking at now is the common login to Autotask Workplace. So most of this you guys are familiar with or have seen in demonstrations. We're going to focus right in on the server side. So we're going to come on the team page, and you'll see there's an area here called Manage Servers. And this is for every server-connected agent that we have within the environment. As Len mentioned, we're built to be scalable. So you can have multiple servers working for multiple teams or even multiple servers within a single team. You can actually see right here, I also have a workplace connected desktop. So I can see right from the cloud, right from the service, what's going on, what's connected. So we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive. What you're seeing first page here, project status. I'll go show you this in the actual agent in a couple moments, but this is showing you all of the files that are essentially cached down and being synced from the workplace server agent. So this means they're accessible to any locally connected agents through LAN. They're also stored on the actual server itself. So in instance, an F drive, okay? And when I look at the F drive, when I look at a map drive, what I can actually do is right from that map drive, map to a PC. You can see it right up here. I can go into, say, our branding folder, go into templates, and I can bring up an Autotask Workplace template. Okay? So I'm just opening that up on my normal browser. Again, not connected through an agent, but just opening up that file and editing it like I would through a normal network share drive. Okay? What that'll actually do is take out a lock. So we're going to have that lock propagated through myself up to the service. Okay? So we'll do a refresh here. And you can see that AWP template. Okay? And that's, again, connected from a file server connected user. So the same way you can lock a file in Workplace, that lock will now propagate through the server to anyone connected using Microsoft file locking support for file servers and using the Workplace lock for Workplace users. We can also see any sync errors, so if somebody doesn't have permission or is trying to do something they're not permissions for, we can see right here in the cloud what's going on. Again, we're designing this, as Len mentioned, to be run as a service. We don't want you to have to log into the server every time there's a violation or an error. We want you to be able to see, manage, get those alerts, and I'll show you the alerting capabilities as well. All right, the activity logs, so you can see when files come online, when they check in. If there's any major issues, you can see a lot of devices connecting, disconnecting, no reported errors sent. So again, just gives you, again, a high-level hierarchy of what's going on, what's happening on this particular server. And then last but not least, you can see the connected devices. So you can see what machines with desktop agents are able to connect and pull files locally. One machine can connect to multiple agents, and the really cool thing we did is, let's say I have two servers internally, and one of the servers is a little bit slower for whatever reason than server B. The agents are smart enough to look at all the connections available, and they'll say, what's the fastest? Is it the cloud? Is it a local area network device? And is it a local area server on 1 or 2? And it'll actually pull from the fastest connection. Right. We also have our alert policy, which I talked about briefly, where you can come in here and select the administrators. You can also specify if you want to send a text message for the alert that get notified when something's wrong. Again, we don't want everyone on the Workplace team. I'll look at Autotask. We could have 500 employees in Workplace. We don't need everyone to know that a server went offline or there's a sync violation. We need our technology, our IT team to know. So we can select the admins we want and just notify the people we need. And as Len mentioned with AEM, we can take it a step further and do advanced remote capabilities for diagnostics, seeing what's going on, reporting on what's gone offline, and maybe even running a script to correct it without ever having to touch the server. All right. You also have up here configure IP. So what you're seeing right now, the agent does automatically. So it looks at where I'm installed, pulls in the IP ranges. This one I got a little more explanation from my development team. It's possible to add additional IP ranges. So maybe you have a branch office and you have some secure tunnel or something set up between those two sites. Even though it's not necessarily on the same local area network, you could still configure the agents to communicate with that server because it may still be faster than using the internet connection. Okay? So we had a lot of flexibility there. All of this is documented as well, so you can actually go through and see how to set it up and what some of your options are. All right, so we're going to go take a look at the agent. But before we do, we're going to look at just this one project. So we have a project here called the Druthers office move. So we're going to move our office building. On the share side, you can see this HQ files. This is my server, and it is shared to my server. And what you'll notice when I come in here and start to look for users, we have different icons. We have our groups, we have our people, and we have our HQ files. In this case, it's grayed out because I've already invited HQ files to this. So you can quickly get a pictorial representation of who they are. So we're going to go down and we're going to open up. This is just a Windows server, 2012 R2. We're going to come down here, and we are going to open the UI. Again, it'll run in the background. You don't usually have to come in here, but to kind of show you how it works. What you're seeing here are connected devices. You can see the individual IP address, what's been sent, what's been received, what's the status. And you have some additional details down below and timestamps. On the project sync side, you can see what's changed, what's been going inbound, what's going outbound. As Len mentioned, we have increased the speed. So we have the ability for these to sync much faster to our Autotask Workplace cloud, okay? And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we go through. All right, so next we're going to come in the agent and we're going to go to preferences. Okay, so it looks very similar to the desktop agent you've seen. Just a couple things have been stripped out to make it a little bit easier. So the first thing we're going to do is let's sync a project. So we'll hit preferences. You'll see here what's already synced. I'm going to go and click the sync project button. From here I have three options. Create a project from a local folder, which means I have something on my file server that I want synced to the cloud. Really important from an onboarding perspective. They already have a lot of information on their file servers. I want to get that up into the cloud and get that information up and being shared across our workplace environment. Sync an existing project from the Autotask Workplace cloud to the file server, and then merge. This is kind of the hybrid of both. I have a little bit of the project on the server. I have a little bit in the cloud. I want to put them together. So we're going to start with create a project from a local folder. This one is really easy. All you do is come in here and say, I want to make a project off this workplace server violation. Okay? This is really important. When you come down here, you have to pick somebody to own the project. The project always needs to have an owner. So in this case, I could pick myself, and I would put in that user's password. In this case, it's a server user. So one user we built to manage, maintain, and own the server relationship. You don't need to do this step, but it's something we recommend to have a defined user who kind of owns and manages the server environments. This would then create the project automatically in Workplace and start syncing all of that information up to the cloud. Next option, we look at that Druthers project. So let's say we want to take that office move. What you're seeing here is a much smaller list than we saw in the cloud because the agent knows what's already synced and it knows what it has shared to it. So I'm only seeing here what is available for me to sync down. And if I don't have anything left here, it'll actually tell me there are no projects to sync. So you don't have to worry about sorting through everything and trying to remember what was synced, what was not. This list is dynamic and it'll update as you use the application. In this case, we would just pick the office move. You can do both a selective sync or a full sync. And we do still have the project loader if you've used that capability. We would just do a full sync, pick where we want it to go. In this case, I should have set up here, local to C, office move. I could pick that, and I would now sync this cloud project down to the server, okay, which I could then share with my file server connected people through a network drive, or use this server as a local cache to speed up the internal sharing and syncing. All right, and then last but not least, my favorite, and honestly the most commonly used, we have found when we ran our beta program that a lot of our partners have some combination of file servers and workplace licenses, so they may have some stuff in both places, and it may not be up to date. So the merge gives you the ability to kind of selectively and smartly look at how to sync these and combine so you have one project that the service is always updating. So we're going to come in here, we're going to pick that office move again. We're going to pick the same local folder here, the office move, on the C drive. And then we have some options to pick. So what do we want to do? Do we want to merge the local folder with the workplace project, keeping the most recent version? Okay? So this is what you're saying, there's adjustments in both. right? We have newer versions sometimes on the server, sometimes in the cloud. Just keep us the most the most recent version. All right. You'll see here, sync the workplace server. Use this option if you want the local changes to win. Sorry, local changes to be lost. So in this case, you're saying the cloud has the most current version of everything. Doesn't matter about the timestamps. The cloud is kind of owning this project. I want to sync the cloud down and rewrite over any files that might have a name conflict and keep the service or the cloud's portion. And then last but not least, sync the local project into the service project. So the services, in that case, the Autotask Workplace cloud, will lose, and the server is kind of the master and the owner. Okay? So those are 3 options on how you get those projects down. Once they're down, kind of set it and forget it. There's a run in the background, a run of the service. If the server restarts, the service will automatically restart and get up and running. The agents themselves, the connected agents, will know if something goes offline. So if this server goes offline, maybe you're patching, the agents, the desktop agents will actually realize that and then start to sync from the cloud and spill right over. It'll always try and find the fastest route. Okay? All right, one more thing we're going to look at here, then I'm going to turn it back over to Caroline, are the network settings. So again, what you'll notice here is the speed on this is 10 meg. So it's about a 5-time improvement to speed over the desktop agent. But most of the syncing locally using the local area network will not require internet connection. So if I have a 1 gig file that I changed on my desktop, it's going to go from my desktop to the server and the cloud at the same time. Okay, once the cloud and server check in and say, hey, this file is good to go, the server will automatically push that out to everyone else on the local area network that has the agent, that has project permissions, using our local area network and not have to use the pipe to the internet or the bandwidth. Okay? So we're taking advantage of that local area network and using that speed so that you can collaborate as fast as possible. In our internal testing and with some of our beta partners, we've seen about 99 megs per second being able to be kind of maintained. It's really dependent on the local area network and the environment. One of our biggest partners actually used this as a way to pitch a hardware sale to their end users because they could take advantage of a lot more speed with some network upgrades. Okay? So that's going to conclude our demo. I'm going to turn it back to Caroline, and Caroline's going to take you through the rest of the presentation. Thank you, and I will be here for questions, too, in a couple moments.
Thank you, Evan. Great demonstration, and appreciate you taking the time to do that. As always, very thorough and certainly showcases the capabilities of Workplace Server. I'm going to bring back Len as well. Len, if you could, at this point, advance the slide to the, there we go. Perfect. So just want to give one last reminder about our upcoming Community Live event taking place in September. Again, for anyone that may have joined late, just want to highlight that we are expecting over 1,000 industry leaders and customers and partners all coming together for a fantastic event to learn about Autotask solutions, but also to network with each other, attend best practice and technical enablement sessions. So really encourage you to go out to our website to take a look, and registration for past attendees is open now, and open registration should kick off by mid to late next week. So keep an eye on that, and we really hope to see you there in Miami. It's a fantastic event. So now we will open up the lines here with Evan and Len for some Q&A. We do have a number of great questions that have come in, so let's get started. Len, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Perfect. Evan, are you back on?
I am back on.
Excellent. Okay, so let's get started. So first, when a user has the file locked, is it still available to open as read-only? Example for another user.
Correct. So, and it depends on how you're accessing it through file server. If you're accessing through file server, you'll see the same pop-up they would today. This file is taken out by Evan Welch. Do you want to open a read-only? Do you want to create a new version to merge later? Or do you want to be notified when it becomes available? So you have all 3 of those options for the file server side. For Workplace, you'll get a note that it's being edited and a lock is taken out. And you can open a read-only version. You can choose to come back. And you can also choose to make a new version through Workplace. So have that capability for both sides.
Perfect. And
so Evan, I just want to clarify, Evan. So basically the file is available as in read-only mode. when someone's editing it. And I guess the follow-on question to that, and I do see it here, what does the LAN user see when someone locks a file and they go to edit it? How do they get notified?
So the LAN user would see the exact same notification they would today through Microsoft file locking. So they'll get a little pop-up in Word, Excel, PowerPoint that says it's taken out. It'll know who the user is in Workplace that locked it. So it'll say actually Evan Welch. It'll give them 3 options. It'll give them that the ability to open a read-only copy, to create a new copy to merge later, or the third, to be notified. So it's the exact same interface with Microsoft file locking they're used to today.
Great, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you, Evan. And what is the solution for accessing the files on devices with limited storage capacity? Example, WebDAV, DAV?
So if you're looking at, there's 2 ways to kind of answer that. The first is if they're connected to a map drive to a file server, they would be editing it and working on it on that actual file server. So it would not, you wouldn't need any local storage in that case. The second part of that we are working on as part of our elevated priorities. We kind of call it internally ghosting files, where the agent will be able to have a thumbnail that the file is available, but not sync down and download until it's needed. And that's going to come in part of a future release. But for today, if they're connected through the server and they're connected to that file server, it would not require local storage, only if they have the desktop agent and choose to sync it down.
Okay. Yeah, I'll add some in there too, because I do actually have that issue. I've got a laptop with a solid-state drive, and there's a great feature called Selective Sync built into Autotask Workplace. So if I'm on a device with limited storage, I can certainly evaluate and download from the cloud to my local drive any files that have been shared, any folders that have been shared with me. So that is one way I can prevent it. The other way I can prevent it, of course, is just by not downloading any files to my local drive. And then from my local drive, I just use my web browser. I can get up into the cloud. I can grab a file. I can edit it, and I can put it back in the cloud, never having to kind of store it locally on my local drive. So a couple of different ways you can kind of combat that issue. Evan, did I do that right?
Absolutely.
Thanks to both of you. And so what is the solution for conflict collision resolution?
So I'm going to assume, I think you mean where 2 files have been created and someone basically opened them up before the locks could propagate throughout the application. In that case, Workplace will actually recognize that, and it'll append at the end like a .caroline.evan and give you options to merge later so that files are not lost. So we will have an ability to kind of do a conflict file or conflict resolution.
Okay, great. And what about encryption?
Great question. So similar to Autotask Workplace, all communications from our agent to the cloud and on our servers in the cloud are encrypted using 256-bit AES encryption. And that does not change. So it'll automatically encrypt on its way over to us and on our servers and rest.
Perfect. And can you talk about versioning?
So we still have the same 6 months versioning engine, and it follows a tree, but essentially for the last hour, every single version is kept. The last version from each hour for the last day, last version from each day for last week, so on and so forth. Those versions are kept. They do not count against your storage quota. It's a phenomenal, as we've heard about WannaCry in the news recently, it's a phenomenal way to roll back and not lose your files due to encrypting via like a crypto locker. So you can put that all back a point in time on an individual file. So if maybe Len and I were working on this PowerPoint and we kind of made a mistake we wanted to undo, or I can push an entire project and say, you know what, we got a crypto, push this project back to yesterday, and every file will be put back in its original state from that time frame yesterday.
Very good. And are there any plans that Workplace Server will be available as cloud services in the Office apps on iOS devices? So could you open and save documents directly with Microsoft Office apps on iPhones and iPads specifically?
So that is a great question. We are working on some additional integration options within the Microsoft environment. More on that to come. I don't have the details currently to share with you. We're still kind of going through and building that out, but expect to hear a lot more about that in the next couple months.
Yeah, and I think the holdup there, part of the holdup there too, is there are lots of hoops you have to go through with Microsoft, and I know we are proceeding with that, and then Evan, that'll work into the product roadmap side. So there's some business side things you have to deal with Microsoft as well. But stay tuned. We know that's important for you.
Thank you. And could Workplace Server take the place of AEB, Autotask Endpoint Backup, since we can recover from ransomware?
So that's a great question, Len. I think I'll tee that one up over to you.
Sure, sure. You know, obviously, Autotask Endpoint Backup is a great solution in terms of not only recovering from ransomware, but really any data loss scenario. And the nice thing about Endpoint Backup is it is unlimited storage. So in the case of AEB, it really depends on the amount of storage you have. With every workplace user that you deploy or provision, you will get 50 gigabytes of storage. So in a 20-user environment of Autotask Workplace, you'll have a terabyte of storage that you could roll up to that team level that holds those 20 users. Typically, that's your client. So if you have a client of 20 users, you get a terabyte of storage, and you can allocate that storage to the server, but typically your servers may have more than that, plus your users need some storage. And at the end of the day, a lot of that data that's on your server or even on local user hard drives is just old data that you want to back up. So the beauty is AEB and AWP actually work very well together. And in the cases where you have lots of data, you want AEB to be there and backing up your data because you have unlimited storage. In those cases where you're working on current documents, current files, you know, for me, for example, I've got a 2012 project, a 2013, 2014, and I'm saying project, but that's interchangeable with folder. And all of those older folders, older projects, I don't keep up in my sync cloud. I back them up with AEB. So they're actually very complementary. I would not call it a replacement unless you really have a minimal amount of data on up to 50 gig. So on your server, you're definitely looking at AEB more than likely for backup, and on local workstations and desktops with large amounts of data, you probably want to have AEB and AWP together, again, just to separate older data from current data files and folders that you're working on. So again, complementary, not a replacement. You just have to take the particular situation at hand and put the right solution in place. And we can help you do that if you have a scenario or a client or you're confused of how to apply Workplace versus Endpoint Backup. Again, we have partner development managers ready to help you. We've got system engineers. You got myself, Evan. Just reach out via email. Again, start with your account manager, your PDM, or myself, and we'll help you get through whatever concerns or questions you have.
Thank you, Len. We've got a couple minutes here left and still several questions to go through, so I will keep going and hope that those on the line will hang with us because there's a lot of good questions being teed up here. So let's keep going. Does Workstation show a lock-in dashboard if Workstation doesn't have an agent installed?
So if there's a workstation that's connected but doesn't have an agent connecting through file server, it's not going to show the locking icon on the file server. When they open it, it will display the Microsoft file locking. If they have an agent, it will always show the Autotask Workplace lock no matter how it's locked. But on an agentless PC that's connecting and opening a file server file, it will not visibly show the locking icon. When you said dashboard, you might have also meant if they had a user dashboard but without an agent. Their user dashboards in Autotask Workplace will also always show the lock, whether or not they've installed and downloaded a desktop or mobile agent. So they'll see that as well in the cloud portal.
Okay, great. And is there integration with multi-factor authentication systems like Azure MFA?
So there are a couple integrations. So there's two Google TTOP, two-factor authentication. We also have a text message-based two-factor authentication. They can also be like whitelisted, so it can be only a certain amount of IP addresses. Maybe your internal network don't need two-factor auth, but when you're outside the network, they would. So we do have some two-factor authentication options as part of the application.
Okay. And is there a way to send a seed drive for larger file server shares?
So there is a seeding mechanism we can use. What we've actually found in our testing, and we actually had our partner in Australia who had some network connectivity issues just as part of that local geography, they've actually found that using the server agent with a 10 meg connection takes less time than mailing in a hard drive and going through that whole process of getting it, loading the files, getting it back. That is available as part of our enterprise data sync, but what we've found in our initial testing is that the workplace server agent can usually augment the need for a mail-in hard drive option.
Okay. And what about AD integration? It says remote wipe for when an employee leaves the company. I don't know if those are related or not, or two separate.
So those are two separate but great questions. So we do have Active Directory integration, both direct and indirect, and through the Azure Active Directory cloud. So we can have passwords, users automatically built. We do have remote wipe for mobile and for the desktop agent. It's not through Active Directory. It's managed through our service. But we have that capability so that if they leave, we can remote wipe that. We're also working on a very exciting feature as part of our elevated priorities for a local encrypted desktop vault, where we'd actually be able to control the mounted volume the files are in, so they wouldn't be able to copy a file out or do anything with the files in the local PC if you've shut them out or locked them down. So we have all those capabilities.
Okay, great. And with encryption, who sets the key and who has access?
So we utilize rotating encryption keys, and there are no individual employees who have access to the encryption keys. There are some scenarios where, be it via legal or lost data, there's a process where we can, with permission from the partner, get back data or delete, restore data. However, we really don't like to do that. It's a lot of work, and it obviously has some time constraints. But there is no one employee at Autotask who has access to the encryption keys that can actually log in and see your files.
Okay. And will this be available for NAS?
So I'm assuming you're using the NAS as a storage, so we can point to and map from a storage array. The server agent needs to be installed in the Windows operating system, but if you had a network attached storage drive to it, you could actually map, we recommend a UNC profile, you could do a map drive to actually get that information and sync it through the Windows server environment.
Okay. And can you just touch on again which operating systems are supported for Workplace Server?
Yep, so it is a Windows operating environment. Right now we are 2012, 2016, and we have a whole list of the documented supported versions. We are looking at in the future maybe rolling out some additional agents, but it would be based off the market and if we see the need for them.
Okay. And last technical question, then I think we have one more partner program related question. So Evan, would the increased speed of Workplace Server help us with onboarding new clients?
Yep, so another great question. So we have seen that. I kind of mentioned that when I was answering another question before, that we've seen a lot of partners successfully using this to onboard, because if you think about maybe a 50-person or 60-person building, I can very easily get people to get their files over to the server very quickly using that local area network. And that server can connect very quickly, and you can have multiples to our cloud. So 10 megs a day can be roughly up to 840 gigs. That's a theoretical. It all depends on the environment, the fingerprinting process of checking in with files. So that speed is not a guarantee. It's just a kind of a theoretical maximum per day. So we've seen that with that speed, again, we can get a lot of data to the cloud really, really quickly, depending on their connection and local environment.
Excellent. And so, Len, I think these two really tie together. So someone asked, if I want to buy into the partner program, can I only sell Workplace Server, or do I need to sell desktop as well? And then someone else asked, is there a serverless option?
So, when you say, I'll answer the first one.
Yeah.
So typically prior to Workplace Server, our starter packs were based on buying 20 workplace agents or user licenses. And now with the introduction of Workplace Server, we do see a lot of people, a lot of prospects, even a lot of partners want to just use Workplace Server. So sure, you can just come on in and just sell Workplace Server. You don't have to sell Workplace Desktop. I can see why you might want to do it just to protect your server, but then realize that if you are putting your server in the cloud, should something happen to the server, you really want those mobile and remote users to have the Workplace agent installed to truly realize the benefits of Workplace Server and the Workplace solution set. So yes, you can just do server, but to really make effective use, you definitely want to combine it with Workplace agents being installed on desktops.
Hey, and Len, just one quick note on that, guys. From the server side, you will need for a team one server user. So you can sell just Workplace Server, as Len mentioned, but each team will need a server user to manage and get alerts and get notifications and own the projects. After that, you can use just server, but you need each team to have one user for it. Sorry, Len.
Yep, no, that's good, Evan. And I think, you could probably chime in on this one, but Caroline, I think you said, is there a serverless option? Yeah. Correct? Was that the?
Yes.
And, the serverless option, I mean, obviously, again, we just introduced Workplace Server. So we have many Workplace partners who either have just been selling Workplace and putting it on local desktops, Windows desktops, tablets, laptops, and Macs, syncing that data into the cloud. And we also have partners who have taken those desktop agents and installed them on servers. So when those desktop agents get installed on the server while it runs as a service, one of the key things that you saw with Workplace Server was the lock propagation. So the serverless option certainly is there, and it's been there. But when you do have server and you put it on the server, you definitely want to combine Workplace Server with the desktop agents and the mobile access and capabilities provided there. So hopefully that answers the question. Evan, was there another interpretation maybe of a serverless option?
I'm thinking you hit the nail on the head. I'm thinking it's using Workplace kind of the way it's been used for the last 12 or so years. So I think that's exactly what the question asked.
And then on top of that, Evan, I did mention some of our partners are already using the Workplace desktop agent and have put it on servers and have experienced the collisions that would occur. But what happens if our partners have Workplace Server agents installed on servers? Does that is there an upgrade path? What do they need to do?
So great question. A couple things. The current functionality of Desktop Agent is not changing. We're not removing that. So if you're using it, you can continue to use it. It's not going to kind of kick you off or change anything. There is an upgrade path. You can install the agent. It will have to go through and sync all the information up to the cloud and check in, and that's where the project loader is really helpful because you can actually say, I have these folders which already exist. I'm going to use the project loader to just say, hey, if they're there, check in online. You can actually merge those. So it would just be a matter of installing the old agent, installing a new agent, making sure all your connections to your projects are set the way you like, and then get off and go.
So thank you. So we still have a couple questions coming in, a couple technical. So let me tee these up because people are asking if we can please get to them. So Evan, on permissions, it says, I assume LAN users are governed by Windows security and AWP users are governed by security set in AWP Manager. Is that correct?
Correct. So the way it works, and this is really important when you go through and install the agent, when we're syncing a project down to share on your file server infrastructure, you need to have the appropriate Windows NTFS permissions to be able to share or access that file. The agent is an intelligent agent so that if I'm connected through local area network, it knows what projects I can intrinsically access being a Workplace user, and it'll sync and cache those down. But also a lot of people have a really granular built-out Active Directory file server permissions. We're not going to change those. We're not going to enforce you to use our server permissions. Those will all work via those connected drives the same way. So we kind of do like an offset. We kind of make a separate siloed version where the agent communicates and knows what to talk to other agents, and the file server keeps its permission structure so it can talk to the users the way it always has.
Very good. So two more questions. When you do a remote wipe, does it only wipe the Autotask mobile app, or will it wipe the whole phone?
Correct, and that's in response to kind of the BYOD, the bring your own device. We will wipe. We have a secure vault in our app on the mobile devices. We will wipe that application. We will not wipe their entire phone. You can also set it so that they can't take files out of their the mobile app, so they can't email them, they can't move them around, so that we can really target and make sure they're not saving them somewhere else. And we have that option today.
Perfect. And then I think we just need clarification on this last one, so I'm not sure if Len or Evan can answer. But if I were to buy 20 agents, I'm assuming they mean the server agents, is that 20 computers or 20 users?
So this one, it depends. With
you know what, Evan, I'll take that because I think it goes along with the starter pack question.
Yeah.
So when you buy 20 licenses of Autotask Workplace, it is a user license, and a user can have multiple devices. So, for example, I'm using Autotask Workplace now on my home laptop, but I also have access to it via my work laptop, which I left in the office, and I can move around freely and work from any approved device. I can also access it from my mobile phone. I can also access it from my iPad, and that's all with one user license. So 20 licenses means 20 users, and they can have multiple devices as long as you set the policy that they can have multiple devices and whether you want to approve those devices or not. So a lot of policy control built into that scenario where a user may have more than one device. And in terms of the server, if you buy a server, it's going to sit on that server, and then whatever users are on the LAN can access it. You don't need a license on the LAN for a LAN user. And as far as your mobile and remote users, they would just have to have their workplace agent installed to, again, realize the benefits of that combined solution set.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I believe that we've gotten to all the questions. Len or Evan, do you see anything that I missed? But I think we're good.
I'm looking, Caroline. I don't see. I think
we're good.
You know, I think you asked this in another way, but it seems to, on permissions, I assume LAN users are governed by Windows Security and AWP users are governed by security set in AWP Manager. Did we ask that one?
Yep, we just did, just a couple minutes ago. So I think we're good there. Okay. So I would like to thank everyone first for those on the line that have hung with us. It's just about 1:15. Thank you for submitting your question. It makes for really just a great webinar, and it shows that people are interested. And a special thank you to Len for presenting the core content for today's webinar, and a special thank you to Evan for joining us to do a fantastic product demonstration. I want to thank everyone for joining us and congratulate you for taking time out of your day to learn about our new offering, Autotask Workplace Server. So thanks, and we hope to see you on a future webinar. So thanks again, and hope you all have a great day.